This instructional video demonstrates the necessary biosecurity measures when entering and exiting a holding where there is a confirmed or suspicion of a notifiable animal disease pathogen, such as highly pathogenic avian influenza. Firstly, prepare the vehicle with a clean and dirty area. Here, the boot of the vehicle is lined with black bin bags as the dirty area. Using the checklist, confirm that you have all the equipment, personal protective equipment, disinfectant, and containers that you will need to enter and exit the holding. The rear passenger seat has been lined with a white covering for the clean area. And the sample transport outer container with the correct labelling can be placed here ready for later. On arrival at the holding, park in the designated area. Identify a suitable area for setting up the hygiene barrier. The area itself should not be where animals transit through or where there is a risk of the surface already being contaminated. Remove any jewellery, watches, and other unnecessary items and leave them in the vehicle. Mobile phones can be placed into a leak-proof bag if they are to be taken with you onto the holding. Carry all your equipment to the location where you will set up the barrier. Lay out the tarpaulin and use tape to designate a clean and dirty side. Alternatively, 2 separate tarpaulins of different colours can be used. Lay out all your equipment that you will need to enter and exit the holding. Here we are using 3 disinfectant containers, 2 on the dirty side and 1 on the clean side. The types of container used are optional. You may need to bring your own water with you to make up the disinfectant, and make sure you know the volume of water being added to each container. Don a pair of gloves and measure out the disinfectant required for each container. The concentration is based on the disease pathogen, the outside temperature, and the contact time. Always check that the disinfectant is not out of date. Pour the correct amount of disinfectant into each container and mix well. Prepare your waste bags, a black bag on the clean side that will be taken with you, and a double yellow hazardous waste bag on the dirty side which will remain on the holding. Spare gloves on each side, cable ties for sealing waste bags, plus a screwdriver or a hoof pick. Hand disinfectant and face wipes. You need 2 overalls. The inner overall must at least offer biological protection. The outer overall must also offer biological protection, along with chemical protection, as you will be disinfecting it on exit and do not want any disinfectant seeping through to the inner layers. Wellington boots. Check they are clean and you are not potentially bringing contaminants onto the holding. Boot covers to prevent the worst contamination in the treads of the boots. filters for the respiratory protective equipment. Check they are in date and offer the correct level of protection for the biological and chemical risks. Respiratory protection that has been confirmed to fit you. A sharps container, and a bag of sample tubes and sampling equipment. Everything to be taken with you should be put in a bag for ease of carrying. Paperwork in a leak-proof bag and your mobile phone. Take some spare gloves with you in case you need to change them if they get grossly contaminated or between animals. Finally, a sample transport bag that is approved for the transport of samples by road. Remove any additional clothing if not already done so. To ensure there is a good seal between the respirator and the face, the hair should be held back from the face. Of course, this step is hairstyle dependent. Men must be clean shaven. Don the inner overall. Don the inner pair of gloves, making sure the overall is tucked well under the gloves. Tape the gloves to the overall, making a small tab at the end of the tape to make the removal process easier later. Here we are using duct tape, as a pair of scissors is not required to cut it. Don the outer overall, leave it undone at this stage so the hood can be fitted around the mask later. Put the boot covers onto the Wellington boots and then don the boots. Make sure the inner overall is inside the boots and the outer overall outside the boots, with the boot covers over the outer overalls. Fit the filters to the mask. Don the outer gloves, tucking the overall sleeve into them. Don the mask as per the manufacturer's instructions and carry out the self-test. Adjust the mask fitting until the self-test passes and there is a good seal. Finish donning the overalls over the mask, ensuring there are no gaps between the hood and the mask. Zip up and seal the front protective flaps, all as per the manufacturer's instructions. You are now ready to take the sampling equipment with you and enter the holding. On completion of the sampling or disease investigation, return to the hygiene barrier. Place the sample containers into the first disinfectant container and scrub to remove any blood or contamination. Place them into the clean sample transport bag that was prepared earlier. Seal the bag and place it into the second disinfecting container. The sharps container is decontaminated in the first disinfectant container and discarded into the biohazard waste bag. Paperwork in the sealed bag and your mobile phone can be placed directly into the second disinfectant container, unless they are visibly contaminated, in which case pre-clean them in the first disinfectant container. The bag used to transport the sampling equipment is discarded into the biohazard waste bag. Remove the boot covers and discard them into the biohazard waste bag. If they have been damaged during the visit and any muck or dirt has got into the treads of the boots, then remove this with the screwdriver or hoof pick before the cleaning step. Scrub the Wellington boots clean in the first disinfecting container, ensuring all visible muck and dirt is removed, including in the treads. Put the brushes into the second disinfecting container and step directly onto the tarpaulin. Empty the first disinfecting container and scrub it with disinfectant from the second container and place it on the clean side of the barrier. Scrub the outer overall with disinfectant from the second container, pulling it straight to remove creases to ensure good coverage of the disinfectant. Unzip the outer overall and doff it, starting at the hood, and take care only to touch the outer side of the overall to prevent any contamination being transferred onto the inner overall. Roll the overall down to capture as much contamination as possible, then remove it and discard it into the biohazard waste bag. Remove and discard the outer gloves. Remove the tape from the inner glove using the tab you made earlier. Remove the inner overall as per the outer overall and discard. Transfer the contents of the second disinfecting container into the third container on the clean side of the barrier. Remove your inner gloves following the safe glove removal technique. Don a clean pair of gloves and remove your respirator. Remove and discard the filters before disinfecting the mask and placing it on the clean side of the barrier. Seal each biohazard bag with a cable tie. Give the boots one final scrub in the disinfectant and step onto the clean side of the barrier. Empty the second disinfectant container, scrub it with disinfectant from the third disinfectant container and place it onto the clean side of the barrier. Remove all the disinfected items from the final disinfecting container. Remove your gloves and discard them into the black bin bag. Seal the bag with a cable tie and disinfect your hands. Clean your face with the face wipes. Finally, remove your boots and put your own shoes back on. Throw the contents of the final disinfectant container over the tarpaulin and don't forget that screwdriver. Pack all the equipment back into the dirty area of the car. Put the bag samples and bag paperwork directly into the sample transport container in the clean area of the car. Before leaving, kindly ask the owner to discard the biohazard waste and the tarpaulin for you.